Hello and welcome to I Know That Voice, the podcast about voice actors and voice acting. I'm Keith Wickham, I'm a voice actor, have been for 30 years. You'll know me best probably as Sir Topham Hatt from Thomas and Friends, as well as Gordon, Henry, Edward and various other engines in the show.
Can you get on with it, Keith?
I'm also Professor Inkling and Shellington in the Octonauts, and I was a koala brother, I was Cornel and Watch My Chops, I was in 64 Zoo Lane. I was also Change Daily in The Secret Show.
Show isn't about you.
I thought it'd be nice to talk to my fellow voice artists about their profession. These are people whose voices you all know, but who could still go to the supermarket without being mobbed. Today's guest is a man I've worked with over the years in various cartoons. He's an extremely versatile, funny voice artist. He's best known, I suppose, being in Star Wars, Phantom Menace, as Axmo, the Senator. He's also the voice of Grandmaster Glitch in Go-Jetters. He's in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's been in hundreds of games. He was in Thunderbirds Are Go as Captain Wayne Rigby. He was in Danger Mouse, the reboot. He does over 50 voices in that. He also hosts the Symphonic Star Wars at the Royal Albert Hall. Goodness me, he's done a lot. And anyway, I talked to him in his unbelievably luxurious studio in his own house.
I think we've got enough there.
Now, for those listeners who can't see this podcast, which is everybody, the background that Mark is seeing in my booth is the standard sponge egg box type sound deflectors and absorbers, and it's a booth I built in my house, which works very, very well. But Mark is sitting in what looks to me like a proper studio, a studio foyer with lots of toys in the background and sort of, it's big. It's a proper studio. Most voice artists would kill to have a place like this. So what's the thought behind this?
Well, it's the size of a double garage. But the whole thing's been constructed as you would. It's based on my favourite studios and hotels. So
okay.
You know that thing we go, it's completely not essential, but completely, absolutely you need it. It's a room within a room, so the whole thing is soundproofed properly. So there's
it's floating basically.
Yes, the whole room's floating, so there's no vibrations. If someone was doing roadworks outside, you wouldn't hear it in here.
Right. Okay.
You could be on your bongos outside, and you wouldn't hear it in here. And then soundproofed nicely, so it sounds nice.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely, big, comfy space. When you go to your favourite studios, wherever they might be, and you go, oh, this is nice.
Yes.
And you feel like you're home.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to give that feeling.
Well, it does. It looks a little bit like Soho Square Studios, I suppose. A little bit like the foyer.
Do they have a little pup on the sofa?
They haven't got a dog. No, they haven't got a dog.
Because my background, I was a producer and a director and the engineer before I was a vocal person.
Okay.
So I started in radio. I did work experience at BRMB Radio in Birmingham when I was 15.
Okay.
And thought I wanted to be a producer and an engineer and a director and all that stuff because
a lot of people still say you could do that, Mark.
No, probably better off doing that. Yeah. I don't think you should be doing voices, mate. And I was always fascinated with the behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
So it's like, as a kid, the VHS tape I watched the most was the making of Star Wars. So I knew I wanted to work in something behind the scenes. But I've kind of created the place I'd want to work from. So if I move the camera over here we are. So, okay, so that's like a wall full of original animation art because I adore all that stuff. I've collected this stuff since I was at school. Yeah. And you press the magic button. And then,
oh God, there's a screen coming down, a big screen.
So it's a custom created 110-inch screen.
Good God!
And then when the lights go down, you've got
a cinema.
Yeah, and it's a Dolby Vision capable projector that looks just wonderful for when I watch my Keith Wickham videos.
I never gave you my permission for those videos.
So basically, I've created a studio space that I want to work in every day.
Well, it is extraordinary, I have to say.
Thank you.
And presumably you do spend a lot of time in that studio.
Yeah, I do virtually everything from here now.
Because just to fill listeners in, you don't live in London, do you?
No, I live in Solihull, which is a sort of 10-minute train to Birmingham, but it's a fantastic place to be. The transport links are incredible. I remember when I started and I first got involved in the voice side of stuff. I was told, well, you have to move to London if you want to make it.
Yes.
Have any kind of success. And I remember thinking, as a kid with no other resources or no one to tell me any wiser, I thought, well, I don't think I need to live in London because I've heard of trains. It suited me perfectly doing it this way. And pretty much every day, I'm in here throughout the day recording stuff for, name it, if it has voice, will voice. Needs voice, will do stuff.
Well, you already mentioned where you started, but I'd like to go back further than that, as I always do on these things.
By the way,
to find out
hello.
What? Yes, hello, Mark. I'm talking today to Marc Silk in his floating studio somewhere above Solihull.
Just a lot of balloons.
I'll go back further than starting up work, because we all of us have a background of watching the telly or watching films.
Yes.
And mimicking them or whatever. Did you do all of that? Did you want to be... I guess you've answered this already, but did you want to be a performer when you were younger?
I think secretly I probably knew that I could be.
Right.
But I think at school I was quite shy and loved the idea of being the behind-the-scenes guy. So doing what Jim Henson and Frank Oz and all those amazing Muppeteers did. Early on, I was always fascinated with behind-the-scenes stuff. My heroes are people that are probably more behind the scenes than on screen.
So you're a bit of a geek, would you say?
Oh, God, yeah, and a huge tech head.
Yes.
So anything with buttons as a kid I was fascinated with. This is true. The first thing I ever thought I wanted to do as a kid was work in a lift.
Oh.
Because you got to press buttons all day.
Good God.
And then I gave myself a promotion. I wanted to work in a car park because there was a person that pressed the button that opened the barrier. So I was fascinated with buttons. Okay. But it was always behind the scenes stuff and just seeing the magic behind the actual thing itself. So I used to love it when on Blue Peter, say, Jim Henson would come on and show the puppetry behind the Dark Crystal. Every now and then you'd see behind the scenes on a cartoon. And this one day I discovered that their special guest was a hero that I didn't really know that it was him. And this guy sat there in a sweater. And they go, today we've got a special guest. His name's Don. Tell him what you do, Don. And this guy goes, well, I'm the voice of Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes through all... And you go, oh, my God. And it's one of those moments when your jaw hits the floor and you realise that's the guy that does the thing.
I had exactly the same moment. I remember that interview.
With Blue Peter?
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of it one afternoon, in the late 80s on BBC Two... And it was a documentary about Dawes Butler. It was called Dawes Butler, Voice Magician. It's on YouTube. And there's this fantastic little clip of Dawes Butler and Don Messick. So Dawes Butler was one of Hanna-Barbera's lead guys. And he did stacks of character voices, Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear and all these.
Didn't he do Droopy as well? Was he Droopy?
He wasn't Droopy.
Yeah, that voice fascinated me when I was a kid.
That voice, this sort of jowly voice, really fascinated me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But as a kid, I could never figure out how they did it. And there's Don Messick and Dawes Butler sat next to each other, and they're older gentlemen.
Yeah.
Dawes Butler, this tiny little figure, turns to Don Messick and goes, hey, I don't want me to scare. It's me, your favourite bear. Then Don Messick goes, gee, Yogi, don't tell Ranger Smith about the picnic basket. And it's those things where you just go, they were my heroes. And I'd go to the local library and I'd borrow sound effects albums. What am I going to do with those as an 8-year-old?
I did the same. We're all the same, us guys.
Yeah. And loads of comedy albums. So discovering lots of American comedians, and just great British stuff, and Monty Python and George Carlin and Bill Hicks and just
the Peter Sellers ones I remember as well.
Oh God, yeah. And Kenny Everett stuff too.
Yeah.
I got talking to a guy. He's an artist that did art design. He worked at Thames TV. He worked on the Kenny Everett show, doing art design for Kenny Everett. His TV shows, the ones on Thames, were golden. There was no audience, and it was just fun. It was just funny, silly OTT sketches, and the laughter that you heard in the studio.
Crew.
It was the crew. It was Barry
the crew.
Cryer, and this guy I was talking to was one of them.
Oh, right. Okay.
And you'll know this as a kid. The thing that gets you into this, the very first thing I ever recorded off the radio was Kenny Everett on the radio.
And we got it just at the right age as well, I think.
Yeah, because it felt so dangerous.
Yes, it felt naughty.
Yes, and I loved that, and I loved the
Yes.
appeal of like the Warner Brothers cartoons from the 40s and 50s, where they were edgy as hell, but the voice work by Mel Blanc.
He was extraordinary. I'd loved that. I would interviewed him like a shot.
Oh God, I'd have loved to have met Mel Blanc. I'd have loved to have met Kenny Everett.
There's a certain age at which people get hooked on something.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have a vocation of any kind, you're around about 12, 13, maybe 14 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's around there, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're just becoming aware of the outside world. And if you hit something then, that's you got that. I got that with Radio 4.
Yeah. Just a minute. Sorry, I haven't got
just a minute.
Yeah,
the repeats of Round the Horn and all of that stuff, and the Goon Show, and you get into that, and you're hooked. And I used to go and see things being recorded at the Paris studios.
Man, I'd love. What did you see?
Yeah, Just a Minute. I saw being recorded. I'm sorry, I haven't a clue. The Burkiss Way, news headlines. I used to go quite a lot, and I wanted to be on that stage. Other people wanted to be musicians or footballers, and I was, that was me. But you don't sound like you had a vocational thing about performing, though.
No.
You did. Did you know? You didn't do stand up.
No.
You didn't do any of that.
No, I knew that being a performer, a voice actor, I couldn't see me doing it because when you're starting out, so you're just figuring out who you are.
Yes.
You're a teenager.
Yes.
And I was fairly shy.
I'm curious. How did you get into BRMB in the first place? How did this all actually start? Well,
it was work experience. So my dad helped me write a letter to get into BRMB, and I
literally just approached them direct.
Yeah. So a very polite letter, and I got a letter back from Brian Savin, who was the guy that was taking care of that kind of thing at the time, and he said no. Thank you for getting in touch with me. No.
No. Yeah.
And so then we thought, okay, well, he doesn't know me, so we'll try again. Try again. Dear Mr. Evans, thank you, I appreciate that. Seriously, I mean so much to me. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you in advance. Fingers crossed, Marc Silk. Dear Mr. Silk, no.
No.
I thought, wait, what? Yeah. So I wrote one last letter, and it was, I basically said, look, I'll come in at any time, middle of the night, I'll do anything, just to learn from you and watch you and just be there. And he said, okay, and he finally gave in. I've still got the rejection letter, by the way.
Right.
It keeps you grounded. And it was that, and you know yourself, like your radio heroes, the people at the time, to just spend time watching them do what they do and understand what everything meant and how a mixing desk worked and how they fired commercials off and how cart machines worked, the way the jingles and commercials used to be played out. But the highlight for me was on a Friday afternoon, one of my duties was I had to phone up the record companies to order new vinyl. Okay. Where the DJs had basically scratched the hell out of the vinyl 7-inch singles.
Okay.
And I was too shy to phone up strangers. So that was my opportunity to go into the radio production room and watch them make commercials. And it was great because you saw these brilliant voice people come in there. And it was mostly straight stuff. But I got to watch people who I just thought were brilliant at making stuff sound good, and you go, okay, that's how they've made that microphone sound good now. Oh, that's how they've made them sound like they're on a telephone or like they're in space.
Yes.
And to watch that was a real education. And then bit by bit, I started teaching myself how to use the desk and how to do stuff. And they trusted me as a technical operator. I remember this one day, I was asked to be the tech op for Neil Sedaka, who came in to do this interview. Just to hear him tell his stories was gold dust. Yeah. Learn the discipline of being in a studio as well and how to run it, and from both sides of what's expected. So I'm a good sound designer and this. So I would do branding, imaging, jingles, all this stuff, promos for the radio stations. And they sounded like movie trailers. You know,
Right.
it's one of those things where you go, okay, you found your sound.
Yes.
Not my voice. I was bringing in other voices that I loved. I became a voice agent for 2 voices in the States for a little while.
Okay.
Not because of the business side, just because I thought they were great.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to work with them, you know.
Yeah.
And then bit by bit, I needed voices for like comedy sketches I was writing for the breakfast show on BRMB in Birmingham. And there was no one else around to do it. And I kind of knew I could. Mum and Dad let me sell the family piano and use what savings I had to basically buy the beginnings of a studio. So it was the dining studio. So it was like kit on Mum and Dad's dining table.
Okay.
And I bought a little Soundcraft mixer, a Sony DAT machine, an AKG mic, little compressor, just the basics that you needed to make it sound good. And that's how I learned. That's how I taught myself. That was my education. I've got no training or anything.
No.
That gave me the ability to hone the craft of what you do. And also, you'll know this, anybody that's creative, whether it's dance or art or singing, performance, whatever it might be, it's that first step where you show somebody else your work. And you go, because it takes some guts to go, listen, isn't this good? Because they might go, no.
Yeah, I know. That's the point. That's the reason that a lot of people didn't do anything.
And that was, I think,
It's fear.
I stuck to being a producer for quite a while because I was just getting my confidence up. And then I did a radio show for 2-3 years at a radio station in Coventry called Mercia. And I was so happy. I adored doing that because it was sort of me doing all the things that I think would be fun to listen to. So it was it was a high production values, and I got 5 free choices of music an hour, and I'd learnt so much about music radio and comedy in radio through UK influences, but also from America. And so there was this sort of mashup of styles that sort of influenced me. But I did this show for a few years, and within 6 months, I had a call through saying Radio 1 had been in the area and heard what you're doing, and they wanted to talk to you, want you to go down, which was everyone's dream at the time, to work on Radio 1. And
This will be when? What year?
this is 92.
So Radio 1 was basically
Huge.
the only... It was massive, wasn't it? It was
Huge.
monolithic.
It meant so much to me. And I went down there and I was terrified. I was terrified because, I was still finding
Yes.
my feet. And I went down there and I was so, like, it felt such a privilege just to be in the building that I met up with the guy that was running it at the time. And he was really complimentary and said they'd like to talk about me doing something at Radio 1. And I just said to him, I'm not ready for this. And he went, what? I said, I said, look, I've been doing this for 6 months. And I'm still learning. And he said, but you'll always be learning. I said, well, yeah. I said, but there's a benchmark that I think I should be at before I take such a huge leap of being on national radio. And if I'm going to do that, I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best that I can be. And I don't think I'm there yet because I'm still figuring it out. And he looks at me and he said, are you turning me down? And I said, I think so.
Yeah.
And he went, no one's ever done that to me before. I said, well, this might be the biggest career mistake of my life, but I just want to make sure that if I do it, it's the right time for me, and I'll give you the best I can.
I think that's fair enough.
And he said, and he leant back in his chair, and I'm sweating like crazy. And he said to me, I really respect what you've just said. If you ever want a job at Radio 1, here's my number, just phone. And I never phoned.
No.
Because they invited me in a couple more times, but I didn't do it because I wasn't doing it to be famous.
So your voice career picked up when?
Well, I started doing little bits of character voices just after I'd done work experience with a guy called Mark Keane, who was also on the station in Coventry. And I met him at BRMB in Birmingham. And he heard me like playing around when I started writing these little comedy sketches for the breakfast show. And then I did stuff with him, and I think that helped me get confidence and experience performing, really. Just at the start of having a go. When you were first sent cassettes out, I thought, look, I can make other people sound really good. So I need to do that for me. So I put this show reel together. This would be late 90s. And it was funny. And I sent 10 cassettes out because I thought, as a producer at the time, if I heard if 1 in 10 might have been good. If I got one response back from 10 show reels, that's okay. So I sent 10 show reels out. I got 13 responses.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it went cassette viral.
Okay.
And it was basically because at the time, I don't think there was really anybody that was just going, I do animation voices. There were lots of really great voices there. I focused on just character voices.
Yes.
No straight stuff. And the reason I didn't focus on any straight stuff was I wasn't very good at it. And I'd say it took me about 10 years to be comfortable and any good, I think, at performing straight voices. So I wanted to do TV commercials, and I was getting asked to do more and more of them because I was the new cool toy in the voice world, But the straight stuff I was doing, it was okay, but I knew I needed to get better. And so just it's a thing of just the more you do, the better you get. And now I do a lot of straight stuff as well now. Even down like for years, it's me that you heard going, it's Ad and Deck Saturday Night Takeaway, or the Royal Variety Performance, or the Magical World of Disney, all that stuff. I think that the key that unlocked it for me was seeing straight voices as it's just another character. Yeah. It's
not
that.
quite you.
No, it's a heightened version of you.
Yeah.
It's like when you hear someone's phone voice.
It's
like
the phone voice. Yes.
Yeah, it's like that. But
Yes.
that kind of there's a huge psychological thing there, I'm sure, where it took me a while to like figure it out. But until you get comfy. Out of those 10 show reels I sent out, one of them was from Cartoon Network. They got back in touch, and the essence of the letter was, "Dear Mr. Silk, thank you for reaching out to us. We've never heard of you. We have no need for you. We want to meet you." And so I went down there, and I think it was Wild Tracks we might have gone to. They gave me an hour to just play and sell my case. And the thing is, there's certain stuff that you've got embedded in your DNA. And for me, it's especially pretty much any Warner Brothers or Hanna-Barbera character that Mel Blanc, Doris Butler, or Don Messick did. I knew I could give you a really good likeness of it. And so anytime they needed to get a performer of like these big Warner characters or Hanna-Barbera characters, they had to get it from America. And technically, that was a nightmare because, how'd you do it?
It was in those days, yeah.
Yeah, and I just said, to me, it makes more sense to have somebody on this side of the Atlantic that can do it efficiently for you. And you got much more flexibility. And then bit by bit, they kind of came around to the idea, and I got brought into. I did so much promo work for them. So I was performing Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and loads of them. And we did Droopy for a while, Droopy for about a year, doing Droopy's Mailbag, Down with Droopy D. And then in early 2000-ish, I think it would be, they brought me into audition for this character called Johnny Bravo.
Oh, yes.
And
God.
well, as well as promos and all the other bits, they wanted to do Johnny Bravo live. And we basically performed it live. So they had almost like a PlayStation game. They had every movement that he could do sat behind the desk. There was a puppeteer who could digitally puppet what Johnny would do. And then the software had there was a separate computer that had software just for his mouth, and anytime he spoke, the mouth moved in sync with that, and it was incredible because it was the first time that had ever been done. Broadcast Magazine did a whole feature on it, digging up like what a major like tech and performance thing together. We did Johnny Bravo. Literally, it started at 8 a.m. on the Monday, and then in between every single show. It wasn't just bumpers or little tiny bits. It was like a show within itself, almost like an extended broom cupboard. So you had callers coming on, doing competitions live with no delay. I mean, my God, that was daring.
That's so risky.
And it was so exciting because...
It must have been.
Yeah, because, once that mic goes live, we were going live as far as South America.
Good God.
It was nuts. the first film I got to be in was Chicken Run. And
Right.
like, very early on, and it was just when I was just starting to get like some interest in what I was doing, and I got a call saying they're just finishing up this film called Chicken Run. We need extra clucks.
Okay.
So I was asked to send them a showreel of clucks, and I thought, well, anyone reasonably that's meant to do this for a living should be able to go.
Yeah.
So I sent them like a whole collection of clucks, like, walking down the road clucks, and again, anyone really should be able to do that. So I got hold of a instrumental of Frank Sinatra, New York, New York, and then full on
sung along with
yeah, and then I did 5-part harmonies, got panned left and panned right, and it sounded great, and he got the gig, and any time they wanted me to walk up to the mic, I heard, "Can you bring me Sinatra chicken in, please?" And then after that, not long after that, I got a call saying, "Are you free on Tuesday to go down to London to talk to the casting director of a new Star Wars film?" I said, "Let me check." Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And it had been 16 years since Return of the Jedi. And I'm a big Star Wars fan. And I went down there and they gave us very little to work with. It was literally a blank page. And they said, aloof officer or, a creature or, do what you want to do, what you think's right. And for whatever reason, they liked what I did and trusted that I'd be able to nail it for them. And then a few weeks later, I was at Abbey Road Studios working with George Lucas. And you kind of go, "Oh, Jesus.
How did I get here?" Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's the last time that I ever remember being truly nervous because I was very excited to go down there. And then as I arrived in Abbey Road's reception, I said, "Hello, it's Marc Silk for George Lucas." And she looked on her little thing, and then she looked back up again and went, "Oh, yes, Mr. Silk, he's expecting you." And you go, "Of course he is." But then I remember sitting down in this little sofa in the corner of the lobby at Abbey Road Studios, and it just kind of hit me for about 20 seconds. I thought, what the hell am I doing here? And that's the last time I ever remember feeling very nervous. And it was wonderful. And I spent a good bit of time with them. And
So this was the Phantom Menace.
This is the Phantom Menace.
And
yeah.
what did you do in that? You did various characters?
Yes, I was the voice of a guy called Axe Mo.
Okay.
So he's got a goat's head with 3 eyes and a desperate need for moisturiser.
I saw him on the tube last week.
Phantom Menace, in the Senate scene, you see people bobbing up on in this parliamentary area. When the guy with the goat's head, 3 eyes and dry skin pops up. When you hear, "The Congress of Malastare concur with the Right Honourable Delegate for the Trade Federation. A commission must be appointed."
Right.
That was me.
Okay.
And then there's another guy called Tay Howe, who was a Nemoidian. So basically, big, tall head. And they cut most of what I said out. But there's one. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Well, there you go. I'll put that on the blurb.
But even that, if you're just trying to let somebody know what you do, there's
Yes.
certain headlines you go to.
So the Phantom Menace is one of them.
Yeah. So Star Wars as a name
Yes.
was a lovely thing, which sort of helps. I don't know, create trust.
It's a card. It's a calling
Yeah.
card. And did you do any more of those?
No.
No, that was it. That was it. Okay.
But it's led to so many other Star Wars related projects. So,
Hence the Albert Hall stuff.
I never wanted to be on a stage doing anything. I never wanted to be on screen. It was I loved the idea of the craft of doing what we do, and also the versatility that allows you to make or have, and then over time. Through being, I remember the first time I got asked to do like a talk, it was going back to my local infant school. And then it kind of went from doing like a talk there to a bigger school and then an industry and then do a talk to like the children's media conference and then stuff in America and then it's gone from me just wanting to keep my head down and just make stuff to I do more and more of like presenting the Star Wars symphonies, and they're incredible. To go from somebody that I didn't want anyone to be in the room with me, and I certainly didn't want to be in front of anybody, but we've done 4 of these shows now, and it's the Royal Philharmonic and me at the Royal Albert Hall, and we take you through the greatest Star Wars scores from John Williams. And he's even written notes to us to say thank you, which I always make sure we show off during the show.
Yeah.
My call time for these Star Wars symphonies was like 1 o'clock to just make sure the mic works, and you know. And I got in there about just before 10 a.m. because I just wanted to watch them play.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the privilege of having the whole Royal Albert Hall. But my favourite bit out of everything is just hearing the 20th Century Fox Overture played live. Because again, but you just get goosebumps.
Yes.
And
there is a big difference, isn't there, between the live and the recorded?
Oh,
you know, when you hear it in the flesh.
The CBSO, the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, last week they did these live shows at New Street train station.
Okay.
And oh my God, talk about acoustics. It was built for that orchestra. And they started the show off by playing the logo for Universal Studios. Da 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 boom boom. Oh my God. And I'd have been happy if that's all they played and I went home.
Yeah.
But the best bit was they played it literally as I just arrived at the station, like it was a welcome.
As it was you coming in, yes.
Does this happen every day now? That'd be fun.
And what else would people know you for? Johnny Bravo's Star Wars?
Yeah, so Star Wars, I ended up being Bob the Builder in America for nearly a decade.
Okay.
It had been William DeVries, Bill Duffy. He was the first American Bob the Builder. Then there was Greg Proops, who I think's fantastic from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And then I'd been working on Pingu as the narrator. And I ended up working on Bob for best part of a decade. We did the reboot of Thunderbirds I'll Go, where I'm Captain Rigby, super cool, with big ton eyebrows. And then New Danger Mouse, the reboot of that. What else we got? There's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I did a project for them 2 years ago where Nickelodeon cast me as, I think it was 6 characters. There's a lot of games.
Exactly what I was going to ask you about, actually.
The
video games.
Oh, stacks. Then you got what else we got? Go Jetters on CBeebies,
yes.
which is still huge. And I still get people at Comic Cons now coming up to me saying, I had a primary school teacher, and she said geography teacher, and everything she knows about geography she's learnt from Go Jetters, which on the one hand is very complimentary, on the other is somewhat concerning.
It's terrifying, actually.
A little bit, yeah. So there's that, but so we got. There's
a good list there.
There's a decent list. It'll get us there.
Had a year out because you weren't well, were you? There was a bit of a
bit of shrapnel.
Yeah, it was. Do you want to talk about that?
It turned out everything was okay, and I'm great. So that's
obviously
good.
You're here.
Yeah, yeah. That's puppetry at its best.
But it's one. From what I remember, it's quite out of the blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was one of those where you just need to make sure that you're okay, and it turns out that I was. But back in would it be 1990, 89? I had to take a year off because I had a brain tumour. I hate it when that happens. It's life changing potentially. And I lost all my hair. I couldn't walk for a year. And that year out, I spent making the most of it. So I watched all my favourite cartoons, and I watched all my favourite behind-the-scenes videos, and I listened to all my favourite comedy albums, and I got these tapes from America, and I just made sure that everything that I loved, I filled my day out with that. It was incredible, really, because a few things happened that I think you take with you for the rest of your life. So I was lucky enough that it happened when I was still in my late teens. And there was a guy who I loved called Benny Brown, and it's this American radio DJ. And part of the thing I loved every week was my friend Mark Keane would bring to me a tape of the latest Benny Brown promo. And I just enjoy hearing it every week. And this one week, he brought this tape in, and my mum and dad came in the room. I remember he pressed play, and you heard, "Hey, Marc Silk, this one's for you, buddy." and he said, "Right, we're gonna get you feeling good, and I'm coming to town, and we're gonna meet up. I'm saving you some baseball caps. There's a party happening, and I'm saving you a seat."
Wow.
And that, I remember thinking, it was so special that someone had bothered taking the time to do something like that for me. And we kept in touch, and that kind of stayed with me because I thought, you know what, if I could ever do anything like that for anybody else, I do. I think because when you're a teenager, you know that you're indestructible.
Yes.
And so I've decided we are temporarily indestructible. It's a good thing to play with, a good philosophy. And I thought, okay, well, this is inconvenient. I'll get better then. And I got better then. And I think the other thing it gave me at that point was this confidence.
Yes.
But I'm not sure even whether I'd have had if I hadn't have gone through that. Okay. Because you kind of go, okay, I can do anything now.
Yes.
I think I can do it. It might not work.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
And I make a point of, if I can do anything to do with like just spending time for somebody else, I do. So I've done lots of visits to the Children's Hospital here in Birmingham, and Honey's come with me, and I've taken like all the pictures that you'd normally have at a Comic-Con to sign them, and just gave them to them and to help them fundraise and spend half a day with them. There was one guy, I remember this guy must have been about 10 years old, called Luon, and he was a huge Star Wars fan, and he couldn't talk. He was on, oxygen and the whole thing, and he had his carer and his mom with him. And he brought his lightsaber down. And he'd been on like 24-hour care in the hospital for over a year. And I found out this one day that I was going to host the first of these Star Wars symphonies. And I got in touch with the person at the hospital and just said, look, if there's anyone that should be there, it's that kid. What do we do? And we put a special team on it, and we got him there. And that was huge being able to do that. There was a thing for Teenage Cancer Trust about 18 months ago, 2 years ago in Southampton. And there's a guy I met there who, just a cool guy. I knew that he was a musician and his partner was a musician as well. And it turned out that he wrote Walking on Sunshine, Katrina and the Waves.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And so we ended up becoming like decent friends. And so he came down a couple of weeks later just to hang out and things. And I showed him the Go-Jetters version of Walking on Sunshine that we did, which he'd never seen. And it was lovely because he said, yeah, you've done a nice thing there. You've captured a magic that I don't think we quite did with our version. and then we went to the kitchen and he went, is that an air fryer? I went, yes. He went, oh, I've heard good things about them. He said, any good? I said, I'll show you. So I made us lunch. He went, that's proper good, that. Where'd you get that from then? I went, Costco. He said, oh, Costco? I've heard good things about them. He said, is it what nearby then? I went, yeah. So the next day, I took the guy that wrote Walking on Sunshine to Costco to buy an air fryer.
I'm going to put that on the headline of the blurb. Yes. What you'll know him for.
What you know for? I took the bloke what did Walking on Sunshine to the doodah.
Serious stuff now.
Serious?
Serious. Because there's lots and lots we could tell about cartoons and doing stuff.
Yes.
Now, I'm always talking on this podcast about what's happening now and what's going to happen. Because there's a ton of stuff we could talk about what's happened in the past.
Of course, yeah.
And it's all good fun.
But the future,
which is not good fun.
Oh, it's good fun.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. So are you, how are you dealing with, or are you going to deal with and adapt to what's happening? With
you're talking
about
AI
and stuff, yes.
Yeah, A-up. Yeah,
A-up.
I think the northern version. I liked. Well, it's already disrupting, changing the world of creativity enormously, as well as everything else. A lot of things are going to be for the better. So in terms of efficiency of like finding a doctor or just trying to get information on, using ChatGPT or any of the other systems that are out there and that will be there that we don't know yet, it's going to destroy more jobs than I think people realize it will. And, I don't want that to happen, but it will.
Yeah.
And so already, so visual effects houses, it's going to kill.
Yeah.
many visual effects houses that do special effects for films, it is going to destroy. Because there are things that you can do on, say, if you look at the Runway Act 2 software, what you're able to do on that right now, using motion capture from your iPhone, you don't need suits with dots now. You don't. And I'm sure there'll be people that can tell me that that's wrong. Actually, you do to refine it. But you know what? This is early. We haven't even started yet. You know, so in terms of you being able to face a camera with your iPhone and then move around, it will copy you. Unsettlingly good. Then the voice side of stuff, again, it's going to disrupt hugely. And when I say disrupt, I mean kill people's careers.
Yeah.
Because, I think what's going to happen, well, no, there's no doubt. Already it's affecting a lot of games work. So a good way of trying to figure out is looking from the other side. You know, if you're a producer making a game and you need a stack of other people and like 100 elves and goblins that can do a variation on a theme, and they just get you in to do one and pay you for, you know, a pack of biscuits, and you go home and now you've got 100 characters, that's not good. For you or me,
But for the producer,
but great
yes.
for them.
Yes.
And I think what is going to happen is the people who are really good at what they do, I think they are going to have the best chance of navigating through this, because anything that, if you're fine, if you're good, that won't be good enough. You need to be really good to be able to get through this now. Because if you're doing cashier number 2, please, that's going to go. If you're doing audiobooks, the bulk of it, I think, will go. Because, you know, audiobooks, they can take a long time to do. They can be very tricky. The prep work can be enormous. And they might not be the biggest payers for work, for the amount that you have to do. Again, the same thing is, if you've got work, that's great. If you've got a job, frankly, great. But for the bulk of audiobooks that aren't performed by the author, I think that will go. And even down to, if you are the author and you have a busy life and you look at how the generative standard will go up over time, if you're the author and you've got all this other stuff you want to do, but you want an audiobook of your book, and you can spend 15 minutes giving you a reference, and then it creates your audiobook. That's tricky, because you could go, hang on, it's your words, you wrote it, and it's your voice.
It's your product,
Because is that good? Is that okay? It's because if it's, say, like Peter Kay did his audio when his audiobooks, and he reads them himself, but he goes off on riffs, and I want that. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that version. You think of all your heroes or people you just find interesting. I want to hear them do that. But for the day-to-day book where you're reading through, you know, the story or the history of the Piston, that might be... Actually, I'd quite like to hear the author of the history of the Piston.
Actually, I'm going to note that down. History
of the Piston, 1912 to 1942. I first saw my first piston at a young age as a lad.
Oh, stop it, Mark. I'm getting too excited.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on,
So
anyway.
I think that will happen. In fact, I tried this on a friend who wrote a thing. And he wanted to record the thing. His specialist field is in something else. So he's not a born performer. He's got a great voice, but to record...
He's not an actor.
No. And even just recording your own words, you need to understand how to perform your own words. I recorded him, and it took 2 hours to get to about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he came in to do the next one, and I'd already got the script he was going to use. And I said, right, what do you think of this? And I played the script to him. And he said, oh, my God, that's better than mine was. And that was done in AI as a test for him.
Yes.
And you go, well, see, in a situation like that, if it's your words and the reference is your voice, As long as that voice won't be sold on to other people, I think that's going to be a tricky thing.
That's the big tricky. That's the big one.
You need
Everyone's
to have the
going,
guardrails on there. So you go, okay, I want to play around with my own stuff, but I need you to guarantee that your system isn't going to take it and
Isn't
nick
going
it.
to move it on. Yeah.
Take it, nick it, and use it to mix in with 20 other voices. So that stuff's massively important. And unfortunately, right now, with the current government idea, is that it's basically the companies that get the preference.
Yes.
Back in December, it was the idea that you're okay to scoop up other people's art, their work, their sound, their music, their voices, because you don't want to stifle innovation now, do you, Keith? Do you want England to be a leading force in this movement, right, Keith?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
And then again, the people that are meant to protect or help performers, unions and things, I wonder how effective they can be now, because here's the thing. Let's say you go, someone comes to you and they go, okay, here's a job. It's normally £10, but I'd like to give you £20 because in the middle of the night we might need to do some very last minute edits or change of words. So we'll pay you double what you would have had because we need to use AI pickups. Now, if you've got the people that represent your art going, no, because we've got this contract that says you have to use this agreement. And so I want you to use that agreement, please, Mr. Man. Give me work. And they go, yeah, look, do you want the job or don't you? Because we're going to offer you twice as much. We're not going to use it on anything else. And you go, well, no, because my representative has given me this contract. And look, thanks for your time. Bye-bye. And that is what will happen.
Yep.
That's going to... Now, I'm all for people banding together to protect themselves, but there's going to be a lot of other people that just... They want work. And I think that's going to be a very tricky thing to happen. I mean, I've heard a number of people in different interviews, chats, conversations that I've had go, people will always want a real voice.
Yeah.
You can tell. It doesn't sound real. It doesn't emote. And you go, yet.
Yeah.
Yet. It will. In fact, and also some of the people saying this, it makes me wonder what they've actually heard. Because some of the stuff now is incredible. I mean, IMAX, in August, I think it is, they're holding an AI Filmmakers Festival. This is big. This is this is going to make a big, big difference. And I think it's tricky too, because I had a good think about this a few months ago. I was at a show with thousands of other people, just in the audience, and I thought, yeah, actually, this is important. What is it that I want as an audience?
Yes.
What makes me want to watch something or go to it or pay money to experience that entertainment? And at a Comic-Con recently, somebody asked me, what's the one thing you can't do without in your job? And I said, the audience.
Yeah.
And I said, and I think that's a useful thing to just remember, because have you seen the Sphere in Vegas?
No.
It is a huge venue.
Okay.
If you imagine like the size of a bunch of football pitches, and it is a huge bowl, a sphere in the middle of Vegas, and the outside is all a screen. It is insanely big,
Right.
and the inside is all a screen.
Okay.
So you know how big a 5-story IMAX is.
Yes.
Then there's OmniMax back in the day that goes over you. This is the whole thing. Everything you see is moving. Everything is screened. So it looks like you're in a spaceship taking off, and then the Backstreet Boys like suddenly land on the stage, and you feel like you're moving. Now, a lot of that stuff will be created in AI down the line. Now, I want to see that. Now, I'd rather people had jobs creating that. But this is tricky. Like, a friend who works at a creative design place, they recently pitched for a job, and it was, I think it was £50,000. This design agency pitched for this job. And they didn't get it. They lost it to somebody else that did the job for $8,000 instead of $50,000.
Of course. Yes.
And theirs looked great.
Yes.
And they did it
Yes.
with AI. So,
Yeah.
and again, you go back to, I'm a massive fan of the Muppets and hand-drawn animation. I collect the stuff. You know, this is, I as an audience, I want to see a stop-motion movie that's handcrafted. So as an audience member, I want to see that. But with AI now, it is very close to being able to create stuff that looks like stop-motion. In fact, it already can. It's very close, and in like short tests, it looks like Muppets. If you're the person with the pocketbook and a budget, so if you can do it with AI and it looks like stop motion, is that okay? Because I want the stop motion. I got friends that run studios that's what their livelihood. I love going around the sets and talking to the sculptors and seeing them make the stuff. But it's very difficult because you go, just in terms of survival of your company or your industry, you go, well, okay, we can still make this, we can still tell these stories and it will still look great in quotation marks. And especially as the quality gets better and more refined, that's what it will be like within, I think, fewer years than people imagine. I mean,
I'm reckoning less than a decade.
Yeah, I really think so. And then it is interesting culturally what people will not accept or people are more drawn to. In Japan, animation is hugely successful and popular. So the film Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle, that just broke domestic box office records and earned over $38 million in one weekend. And that is animation, not AI.
Yes.
It's tricky because you look at what Leica Studios have done with Coraline a good while ago. And I remember watching that, loving the film, but every now and then questioning, is this CGI? And it was stop motion. That then opens up a tricky question. So if stop motion's got so good it looks like CGI, then you kind of go, why are we doing this? And if we could then skip to doing it in AI, it will end many careers in that certain room. But I think there is space for a whole new breed of different creators. So there'll be individuals that would never have been able to tell their stories or make these before. But with the concept, with the tech that's around now, I think nimble, talented individuals or small groups of people will be able to do stuff that normally it would have taken an office building size place to create it. And I think with the AI side of stuff, that kind of homebrew thing will end up is going to make a massive change with where the eyeballs go. I think the reality is the people that are, doing their best to create new stuff, the reality is nobody actually knows yet. No. It's so early.
I can see that. What terrifies me is the political stuff. What terrifies me is that you can't believe anything you see anymore. Yeah. That's the thing that really gets me. I'm actually less concerned about, although I am concerned about our industry, I'm less concerned about that in a sense because what we do is entertain people. Yes. But we're not pretending. We never pretended to be telling the truth. No. Do you know what I mean? We never pretended to be influencing anybody. Yeah.
And when you hear people talk about within what we do, of that phrase that's often overused of authenticity, that really does bring it down to that really is what matters. The trust.
Yes. I think that's the thing that really scares me, if I'm honest. I mean, I know what's going to happen to our industry. I think you've encapsulated it. Most of my guests have said the same thing. But I don't think the political stuff is as easily navigated.
Do you know what, as a shift to what we've just been saying, first of all, I agree with what you said, but then you look at what South Park's just done, and you go, actually, to the flip side of that.
The flip side?
Look at what the satirical or getting your point across without hurting anybody, but just making a clever point through comedy. Look at what you can do with that. But yeah, I think there's same with any tech. It'll just get better and more affordable, faster and accessible to a lot of people. We know everything, Keith.
We do. I know more than you, though.
That's true.
Yeah, I know more than you.
I'll get you that T-shirt.
Well, thank you, Mark. I think we'll have to end it there.
Thanks, Keith.
I've got to edit this.
I look forward to seeing your film at the IMAX AI Festival.
Me in a booth on IMAX.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Christ, that'd be
Yeah.
terrifying. Well, I'll be the subwoofer. Starting to doing it.
Yeah. If you're the subwoofer, I'm the Uber woofer.
Oh, you win again, Keith.
Yeah. Always. Never, never, never go against me.
Never
mate.
argue the man who
No.
actually edits.
Yes. I
It's
am
like
the king.
It's like very early on. I learned very early on the most important person in any building is the receptionist, because without
Yes.
them you don't get in.
You don't get in. Yeah. It was like barman on the comedy circuit. Yeah. If they don't like you, you never get booked
Yep.
again.
It's all about the people.
Anyway, thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks,
It's
Keith.
been a pleasure.
I've really enjoyed chatting. It's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to I Know That Voice. I'm Near That Voice. You've been listening to it, created and hosted by the lovely Keith Wickham, a man with all his original teeth. Your guest today is Marc Silk, voice actor person who does all kinds of stuff. It's fascinating. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave Keith very generous tips at the charity link below. That's it. I've had enough now. I'm going to have some toast. Bye-bye.